Next, I'd like to introduce Venerable Dr. Myong Sunim, who practices in the Korean Zen tradition. Venerable Myong Sunim is a visiting scholar at Smith College in the USA, sponsored by the postdoctoral program in Korea Research Foundation. She received her doctorate from Seoul National University, and her dissertation was on the influence of Chan Buddhism on the concept of arts in Song China, which is about to be published as a book. She's been a Buddhist nun for many years and is a senior bhikshuni in the Jogye order of Korean Buddhism. In addition to holding various positions of responsibility in her home monastery in Korea, she's also served as a professor at Seoul National University and also at Umumsa Sangha College. She has also spent time as a curator at the Hyensa Buddhist Museum and speaks many languages in addition to Korean and English, including classical Chinese, French, and several other European languages. Dr. Myong Sunim has also spent many years in Chan meditation retreat and intensive koan practice, so she will be able to enlighten us on the practice of compassion in the Zen tradition. Welcome.
Yeah. I'm so honored to be here and have an opportunity with the so eminent monks here and the audience. Yeah. Today I want to introduce some chanting meditation in East Asian tradition. So East Asian Buddhism has developed many kinds of meditation, especially Chan Buddhism is very famous. Yeah. But as well as Chan Buddhism, we also developed the chanting practice, which is well known as Pure Land Buddhism, which entails the verbal chanting of the name of Amitabha Buddha for the purpose of obtaining rebirth in the Pure Land. It has been practiced China, Korea, and Japan, and Taiwan. It is believed that Pure Land exists in the direction of the west and built by Amitabha Buddha. It is believed the Pure Land exists in the chanting practice is typically Mahayana Buddhism. Is expressed in Chinese Pure Land Buddhism and Japanese Shin Buddhism and Nichiren Buddhism, something like that. But there is another characteristic in Pure Land practice, especially Korean Buddhism. In Korea, chanting has been practiced as a part of ritual and a particular monastic practice, which highlights the attainment of Pure Land in mind, not in the West direction. Both monastic and secular do chanting in everyday services, but it is also performed as a kind of Chan meditation practice in some specific meditation centers. It's a synchronization of Chan and chanting practice. In this practice, the emphasis is on the attaining the Pure Land in mind in this life rather than reverse the Pure Land. The Pure Land is believed to exist not outside but in my mind. This is close to the original idea of chanting practice. So today I want to introduce you this characteristic of chanting or Pure Land practice, which also has a theoretical foundation in many sastra and sutra. In fact, chanting has been practiced not only in Pure Land Buddhism but also in other traditions, such as Chan Buddhism. It was also practiced in Shakyamuni Buddha's period. We find references to it in early text in Agama Sutras. Chanting is a kind of mindfulness meditation, but it is different from Vipassana meditation, which invites us to observe our thought, our feeling, and action in the present moment. According to Thich Nhat Hanh, mindfulness is the miracle by which we master and restore ourselves. Mindfulness is the most effective way to master and restore ourselves. As he said, it is to restore ourselves, not to create something new. When we restore ourselves, what is to be restored? There is no difference between a restorer and a restored. According to Mahayana Buddhism, there is no difference. The restored state which we struggle to attain is never different from the beginner's mind, our ordinary mind. We are all Buddha. So therefore we have the same nature and same power as the Buddha has. By restoring ourselves, that is the Buddha nature, we became the Buddha. In chanting practice, in order to restore our Buddha nature, we use the mindfulness of the Buddha instead of observing the thought or feeling or action. According to Surangama Sutra, there is six objects we can bring our minds to dwell on. The first is Buddha, the second is Dharma, third, Sangha, fourth, precepts, fifth, generosity or donation, sixth is heaven with the prosperative joys, which all have the potential to cause the good. The mindfulness of the Buddha is one of the 6 kinds of mindfulness. What is the mindfulness of the Buddha? In the mindfulness of the Buddha practice, there is 4 practices. First, chanting the Buddha's name. Second, contemplate on the Buddha's image or visualizing Buddha's image. Third, contemplate on Buddha's virtues, especially the characteristics peculiar to Buddha. First, contemplate on Buddha's Dharma Body, Dharmakaya. First, to articulate Buddha's name or Bodhisattva's name, especially in East Asia, we articulate Bodhisattva's name rather than Buddha's name. Especially in Korea, we call Avalokitesvara rather than Amitabha. That is a method which substitutes fear and right thought for our defilements. Our minds are full of defilements. Who can count the first thought which fill our minds and succeeded one another endlessly like waves on the sea? When we Buddha names enter our confused mind, the confused mind is gradually filled with Buddha's name. And it's gradually filled with Buddha's name. As a consequence, our minds become the Buddha. Recite the Buddha's name once, there is one Buddha in your mind, and recite it 10 times, there is 10 Buddha. Recite it 100 times, there is 100 Buddhas in your mind. The more you recite, the more Buddha there are. When you recite Buddha's name, you don't have any other false idea or false thought. There is only Buddha's thought in your mind. When you are mindful of the Buddha is mindful of you. So your inherent nature has inconceivable merits and virtue. Second method is to contemplate on Buddha's image. It has been practiced in Tibetan tradition for a long time, and it also practiced in East Asia, where visualization and chanting the Buddha's name practiced at the same time. While we reciting the Buddha's name in front of the Buddha's image, a practitioner contemplates Buddha's image and Buddha's names together. Third, contemplate on the Buddha's merit, especially the characteristics peculiar to the Buddha. So there is here is the second translation. In the second translation, if one see the Buddha's body with 32 distinguishing marks and 80 subsidiary signs, which has innumerable merits of Buddha Dharma, he or she forgot the worldly 5 desires and will no longer be concerned about every other thing. And if you can see the Buddha's body, he or she is never fed up with it and has no interest in seeing another thing. You ought to be mindful of the Buddha in order to gain the merits of Buddha's body as great as this. So with regard to the meritorious power, no sentient beings can be compared with the awakened one. So if you see the rock star or a movie star, they also have great merits, but they cannot compare with Buddha. So the appearance of these characteristics on somebody's body is evident of the extraordinary nature of a person's meritoriousness. So this is a kind of result of Buddha's previous life. So as a bodhisattva, he practiced and do a lot of good things in his previous life. So 32 distinguished prognostic or physical characteristics are peculiar to a great man for whom only 2 careers are often. One is universal monarchy, and the other is the fully awakened Buddha. So that is a distinguishing sign for Buddha or universal king. As you see the Buddha's image, there you can see something different from ordinary people, such as level-soled feet, or on the head there is some like what is that? Some kinds of turban-like head, yeah, something like that. And between the eye there is this white hair. That is the sign of Buddha. Mm-hmm. Then, so when one sees the characteristics peculiar to the Buddha, which is the result of his effort in the previous life, he or she has the light which the other sentient being cannot bring to you. Yeah. First, contemplate on the Buddha's Dharma body. In this case, it is not physical body, it's a Dharma body. So, Bodhisattva should contemplate the Dharma of the all Buddha's virtue when he contemplates the Buddha's physical body with 32 distinguished marks and 80 subsidiary signs. It is said, you should contemplate the Buddha with 40 characteristics peculiar to the Buddha. In this case, that is not physical characteristic. It's a kind of mental characteristics. Because all the Buddha are the Dharma body, not the physical body. If all the Buddha has numerable dharmas, yet they have 40 special characteristics which are not shared by the sentient being. If you contemplate them, he or she can have delights, because all the Buddha are not the physical body, but the Dharmakaya. So the Buddha, Dharmakaya stand for the fundamental truth, or emptiness, or sunyata. That is the the ultimate truth or the ultimate reality, something like that, it is very important to understand that the Dharmakaya is not like heaven or somewhere where we can go when we die or get enlightened. It is basis of all existence, including you. It is also spiritual body and truth body of all the Buddha. According, so we contemplate in this sense, it is the contemplate on the truth itself. So you can use it, any of it for. Yeah, some contemplative practice has been designed to emphasize a practitioner's specific strengths or qualities. As he introduced metta practice, loving kindness practice, meditation is a method of developing compassion. The mindfulness of the Buddha practice also develop our compassion. It is designed to unify yourself with the Buddha because we have the qualification to realize the Buddha nature. According to Mahaparamita Sutra, not Sutra, there is what is the mindfulness of the Buddha? And the answer is, if a practitioner is mindful of the Buddha with one mind, he can attain the cognition of things as they really are with great compassion and loving kindness, so that there is no mistake in his words, because his words are true, whether love or delicate, more or less, deep or shallow. So he is called the Tathagata. So if one attained the awakening or Buddhahood, he or she automatically will have same characteristics as Buddha has. So that is loving kindness, compassion, and sympathetic joy and equanimity. It is use the positive energy of our mind or ability to develop compassion. How we can develop compassion? By means of mindfulness of the Buddha practice. What is the mindfulness of the Buddha? One who awakened is called the Buddha. There are 4 meanings in the mindfulness of the Buddha. First, following the great virtues of Tathagata, one contemplates the fact that all sentient beings are unsurpassed person. Therefore, it is called the mindfulness of the Buddha. Second, following the Buddha's virtues, one contemplates the fact that he or she is the same as the Buddha. Therefore, this is called the mindfulness of the Buddha. Third, following the Buddha's virtue, one wants to serve sentient being. Therefore, it is called mindfulness of the Buddha. Fourth, when one cut off all the defilements, he or she has the same virtue as the Buddha has. Therefore, this is called the mindfulness of the Buddha. So, in the mindfulness of the Buddha practice, following the model which the Buddha shows, we imagine ourselves or identify ourselves as Buddha, or consider ourselves as Buddha. And the more important thing is we should do what Buddha did. That is more important. Yeah. That's why I thought the mindfulness of the Buddha aims not to just reverse in the Pure Land, but to attain the pure mind, pure land of our mind. When we restore the pure mind, we can achieve the same virtue as Buddha has and help and serve as sentient beings. then, as a result, felt Pure Land in this world. But nonetheless, this practice seems like to focus on something outside because we use Buddha's name, Buddha's image. They are object of our perception and thought. In Buddhism, to perceive something or think something which is not in existence at this moment is defilement. If so, it is possible to make use of perception or thought without creating delusion. And how we can use our perception as a means of meditation. When we see the beautiful girl or beautiful man, it does not lead us to meditation. It could lead us as a sexual desire. Or when we are playing a video game, it can make us more agitated or more violent. So we are easily influenced by what we hear, what we see, and what we imagine or what we think. If you perceive something good, it makes us happy. If you contemplate something good, it makes us more better. Nonetheless, for object of perception can disturb our mind. We must be careful, although when we articulate the Buddha's name. So in the practice of mindfulness of Buddha, the most important thing is to hear our own voice, not to articulate the name. We can attain awakening by means of meditation on our hearing faculty. There is a sutra which shows the possibility and importance of meditation on hearing faculty, especially in Avalokiteshvara's case. That is the Surangama Sutra. So, as you know, Avalokiteshvara is Bodhisattva who had made a great vow to listen to the prayers or the prayers voice when they are in difficulties, and postpone his own Buddhahood until he has assisted every living being on the earth in achieving nirvana. The vow of Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva is to give delight and rescue sentient beings from suffering. Loving kindness is to give delight to sentient beings, and compassion is to rescue sentient beings from the suffering. If one wants to accomplish this vow, he or she ought to do two kinds of practice. One is to cultivate wisdom, the other is to cultivate virtues. Wisdom is achieved by prajna paramita, that is one of the 6 paramita. And the virtues are developed by the other 6 paramita, that is charity, dana, and or giving something to sentient being. And second is morality, or in Sanskrit it's sila, or moral activity, the maintaining moral rectitude. And the third is perseverance, or patient. The fourth is effort, or sincere practice. Fifth is meditation, or contemplation. They are pure practices of the Bodhisattva, which are all carried out with attitude of detachment from personal gains, based on wisdom of emptiness. These two kinds of practice compensate with each other. If one attains the perfection of wisdom, his or her vow of compassion to rescue suffering sentient being is accomplished. If one develops the virtue and merits of Buddha, his or her vow to give delight to sentient beings will be accomplished. Now, the question is how we can attain wisdom and perfection of 5 practices. According to the Surangama Sutra, hearing is the easiest way for sentient being in this world, in this Saha world. I think because hearing is a kind of inner sense, not kind of outer sense, like seeing. Seeing is just see the object in outside, but hearing is hear your voice, not every time. You can hear others' voice, other sounds from outside, but you can hear your voice. That is a kind of inner sense. Anyway, in this sutra, they explain how Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva attained the perfection of interpenetration by means of meditation on hearing faculty. Actually, the meaning of Avalokitesvara is to observe or to contemplate worldly sound. According to recent research, the original form was Avalokitesvara with ending svara, which means sound perceiver. Literally, he who has perceived the sound. This is the exact equivalent of Chinese translation of Guan, or in Korean is Guan. This name is the meaning of the name is name fits the Buddhist understanding of the role of the Bodhisattva. Seum in Guanseum means the worldly sound, which is a reflected object of observing. Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva can hear all the sound of suffering in the world, rescue suffering people by his compassion. Here, his compassion comes from hearing. If so, how can he hear all the sounds in the world, and what is the difference of hearing between him and us? That is one problem. So there is, I translate some part of the Surangama Sutra, especially the meditation of on hearing faculty, the page 2. So in this paragraph, Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara trained under the Avalokitesvara Buddha. Their names are same. So now he remembered when he trained under the Avalokitesvara Buddha, how he learned to attain the supreme enlightenment by means of hearing. So at first, I reflected on hearing and observed the nature of hearing. The object of hearing disappeared. That is very, very, very difficult to understand. So if you hear the voice, you are deep into the contemplation or meditation on hearing. Finally, you forgot the word, the sound. There is no sound, only calmness is there. Then we go further. By whipping out both sound and reflection on hearing or observation on the nature of hearing, neither movement, in this case noise or sound, nor quietness allows again. Even though gradually both hearing and its object disappeared completely, there is absolutely calm, but I did not abide where they had disappeared. Avalokiteshvara went into further. When the awakening of this state, all the sound and noise disappeared, and you can aware of the sounds and noise disappeared. That is the state of your mind or awakening, and also the state of awakened. There is. Then two kinds of subject and object or disappeared. The awakening of emptiness was so perfect that the emptiness and the object of emptiness disappeared. Therefore, arising and disappearing already vanished, and then the state of nirvana manifested. That is very difficult to understand, but I think it shows very, it shows the process of meditation. So then you get to the nirvana state, mental state. You can imagine that state has no knowing, but actually there are all knowing. You at that point he gets some super mundane acknowledgement. So next part is about that. Suddenly I stood aloof from both the mundane and supramundane. Thereby it was right in 10 directions. It means he acquired all seeing, all hearing power. And I acquired two excellent virtues. First, upwardly, in accordance with the fundamental profound awakened mind of all the Buddhas in 10 directions, I attained the same loving kindness as the Tathagata. Second, downwardly, in sympathy with all sentient beings in 6 realms of existence in 10 directions, I shared with them their compassion and wisdom. Then he went into the sentient beings' world and rescue all sentient beings. So next part I tell it. I will not read it here. So now I wanna explain you how we can use this explanation into our practice. At the beginning of practice, you just recite the Buddha's name, even though your mind is mixed with the various kinds of thought. You just recite or articulate the Buddha's name. When you articulate the name of Buddha or Bodhisattva, you should hear your voice. This is the most important point. By hearing and reflecting your voice, you can make your mind invert. And if you practice it continuously without cease, you gradually go into deep state and be focused on your hearing and become mindful. At every single moment, the state of mindfulness of the Buddha is succeeded by the same state of mindfulness. Finally, you can attain one mindfulness state. At this stage, your mental is identical with the Buddha's Dharma. Your mind is so calm. But it is very hard. But I know it is very hard. But you, without interrupting without other kinds of thought cannot interrupting you when you are focused on reciting Buddha's name or hearing your voice. You are focused on the Buddha's or image or name, whatever. So you are just one-minded. Our Buddha nature manifests itself in your hearing faculty. Therefore, when you practice hearing as a phenomena, we can realize the emptiness of emptiness of reality. When we realize the emptiness of reality, we can get the supernatural ability to hear all the sound of the world. That is the virtue of Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. Mm-hmm. In this practice, we don't need to practice the whole virtue of Buddha one by one, because if you attain the Buddhahood, we can achieve all the Buddha's virtue altogether. By means of meditation on hearing faculty, practitioner can develop compassion and loving kindness. So you just remind you are Buddha, or you have the all virtue of Buddha. So you imagine yourself as Buddha, so you can fully feel with the Buddha's merits or Buddha's virtue. Yes. So if you feel full with the Buddha, you can do what Buddha did. So it is very simple. Just you don't need to sit on the cushion and close the eye. You just articulate the Buddha's name or Bodhisattva's name. So that is in Manjusri Sutra. It is called one practice samadhi. One practice, not several kinds of practice. So. Constantly practicing, whether day or night, sitting or walking or sleeping. Even you can practice in dream. And you don't need to relax your body or calculate your breath as you do in sitting meditation. You can also meditate with your eye open, and you can also practice in a very crowded street or with your iPod. So there is no need to pre-arrange all the circumstance. You just recite the name. Yeah. So now I will introduce you some chanting of Buddha's name, and you now what is better for you? I don't know. If you want to recite, I will teach you, and if you don't want, just hear. So that is Korean chanting, and in the chanting, they recite the Bodhisattva's name. That is Avalokitesvara. So in Korean, it is Kwanseum. So they call Kwanseum Bosal, Kwanseum Bosal. First, they take refuge to Kwansen Bosar, Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara, then call it again and again, several times. Then finally, they do vow. So like Avalokiteshvara, I wanna rescue all sentient beings with these kinds of meditation. Yeah.
내게 소래 원제 제장 실소제 세세상의 구사 알도 사생육도 법계 유정 당업 생내제업장 아금 참에게 소래 원제제장 실소제 세세상의 구사 알도 원이차 공덕 보구보 일체 아등여 중생 당생능락구 견무량수 개국승부
I think it's better to articulate Bodhisattva's name than hearing it is better. But this case, it's okay.
The Sun practice, the pursuit of gradual, whereas loving kindness seems to be is presuppose a gradual process. So what is the place of this practice?
I think this is also certain kinds of practice, because in this the explanation of sudden and gradual means not about the time, that is about the process. So process has several steps, that is gradual, and the process is one, that is sudden. So in this practice, that is one practice. One chanting is one, just chanting. There is no step. So that I think that is sudden practice, but it takes time. So it does not deny the necessity of training.
At one point that the meditation talked about loving kindness as having an upward movement, whereas compassion has a downward movement.
Yes, in
And
this sutra.
And loving kindness was associated with explicitly with the Avalokiteshvara Buddha.
Yes,
Whereas
but
downward compassion was associated with all beings. So did I misread that, or?
Yeah, in this sutra it is explained like that, but upwardly, downwardly, it is. I think it is. He resembled the Avalokiteshvara Buddha, and also shared the same interesting, same wish with sentient being. So as a bodhisattva, he related the Buddha and sentient being. But at the point of the with the Buddha, he shared the compassion and the wisdom, or I'm not sure here. Anyway, or with the sentient being, he shared the wish and compassion. In this case, compassion. Yeah. Is it enough explanation?
Well, I mean, and then in the next segment, it talks about the compassion of the Buddha himself, which is not at all, it's not at all surprising, but it's just surprising from the initiative to see compassion more directed in a sort of on a plane of everyday human activity, a plane of being, a plane of activity of being, rather than a plane of Buddha's awareness. So,
I can understand your.
well, I'm not quite sure I'm making it clear, but but loving kindness would describe the attitude or sublime attitude of the Buddha, and compassion or a shared experience with being, or surprising to
Yeah. Actually, it is said in this sutra, in Surangama Sutra, but I think Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva has two together, the wisdom and the loving kindness, and also compassion and wish. That is not separate. I think that is what is the direction.
Just want to see if I understood right. But so, what you're suggesting is that this practice of chanting the name of Avalokiteshvara is a complete practice, and and is that true of your order, or is that? I mean, are there orders where that's the whole meditation tradition is to perfect the chanting?
No. It's in Chan tradition we do not. Actually, we do in everyday services, we do. But in meditation, we do not use this. But in some specific period, we do chanting as a kind of meditation. It's very hard.
So there's different practices you do to develop
Yeah.
wisdom and compassion and mindfulness. And one is chanting, and one is sitting meditation through chant, and one is service. And so it's just one of many practices to develop bodhicitta, right?
Yeah, right. But you can choose one.
Whichever works for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I think Zen also encourage you to develop the compassion, but there is no specific explanation of that. So I introduced another chanting practice today. But I can say if you practice the more, you are more compassionate. Any kind of practice, you can more compassionate.
Can I share with Theravada tradition? The chanting also the one of the 40 techniques of samatha or the calm meditation. The same thing like you explained about when you hear a sound, concentrate on the sound. Also, that's the object of meditation, to calm the mind, right? When we chant, we pronounce Yo so bhagava rahang samma sambuddho. Now you might go along with the sound. You might not go outside, right? So specific place for the mind. So when you chant for 30 minutes, that means your mind concentrated for 30 minutes. But sometimes when you're sitting meditation, your minds run around. When you sit for 5 minutes, but it's run 100 times, right? This is the way, the technique. So I think can apply in our daily practice to calm the mind, to concentrate the mind. It's a good thing. So recite the name of the Buddha also. We use also, when we breathing in, we say put, that's the name of the Buddha. When we breathing out, we say to. Put, to, put, to. This one also the one technique in Thailand we use, especially in the forest. We use breathing in, put, breathing out, to. So when you hear your sound, when you recite, so 3 ways, focus on one thing. So this is the way to focus the mind to one object.
The Western understanding of Pure Land is just to reverse in the Pure Land in next life, but actually chanting is, as he explained, to focus on your mind and develop all the virtue of the Buddha.
Is this also the case in the recitation of mantra?
Yes, it is. Not only mantra, but also the sutra.
Yeah.
And because of that, we also mentioned earlier the 4 limitless meditation. We have that meditation of loving kindness, meditation of compassion, meditation of joy, meditation of equanimity. So when you're trying to do the concentration of that for this four limitless meditation, the object of meditation is that sentient. Sentient means when they say that limitless, basically limitless means that you cannot make that something limitation of sentient being. There is that like that, you know, there is no boundary of space. Likewise, that there is no limit of sentient beings. So the limitless sentient beings are the object of our meditation. Because of that, then we say that may all sentient beings be happy and have a cause of happiness. When we say that one, actually the sound itself also helps to focus for that. So because of that, we chant and meditate, focus that one. Object of meditation is every sentient being. And the actual meditation is wish them to have happiness. And the cause of happiness is virtues, that is the loving kindness. And then, when we say that may all of these sentient beings be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. So that is that the meditation of compassion. The object of the meditation are the same, all those sentient beings. Wish them to be free from the various different type of suffering. Suffering of change, impermanence, suffering of conditional nature. And all of these sentient beings be free from the suffering, and the cause of suffering is non-virtuous. So because of that, we chant these various chanting. Chanting is also related with meditation. So because of that, in Tibetan, we also chant that at least some preliminary practice, taking refuge and so forth. And therefore, that for 100,000. Why we do that 100,000? Is that repeated many times. It also acquaints with one's mind. So because of that, chanting is not only the meditation, but it comes integration of body, voice, and mind. So because of the physically meditate in the meditation posture, verbally recited this one, mentally focus for the every sentient being as wishing to them have happiness and cause of happiness, and wishing them to free from suffering and cause of suffering. That is how we do the meditation. Then same things when we also recite when the non-meditative state, even you say, may they have happiness and the cause of happiness. By that word alone will bring the virtuous attitude, virtuous word, virtuous action. So that would help. So because of that, it also that Buddha himself is said that the word has three different things. Honey-like word, flower-like words, and then also filth-like words. So in this way, they're trying to bring that some positive, like honey, like flower, like but then that filthy is word. So this way, that trying to bring these words as that oneself to contemplate, and then letting the other people also the hearing of this word.
Yeah.
So that way, then we concentrate. So actually, basically. Of course, different nationality has a different technique, but as the Venerable and I point, we do have a common teacher, which is only one Buddha. So in this way, that Buddha's word is it could not be the difference, but the difference is that the different. It is very chanting is very common in Buddhism. But of course, the chanting it also has that in Hinduism tradition, the other ones. But the main practice is the contemplations in the mind, and the chanting also the attribute, and helps to more concentration. So that the mani patmi, this is bring the symbolic. Mani is the jewel, Padma is the lotus. So the jewel in the lotus, it brings that compassion and wisdom. Jewel is that represent the compassion. With whoever has that compassion, it brings the benefit of sentient beings. So therefore, it is compassionate. Lotus, it is flawless. Even the lotus is born into the muddy pond, but the lotus itself is free from dust and mire. Similarly, that the wisdom is that with having the wisdom, the understanding lack of inherent nature of all phenomena, oneself can be freedom from that fault of suffering, samsara. So with this thought, then they chant that combination of that the wisdom and compassion, and so that we also the chant of the Lord Mantra. Similar to that, chanting the names of the Bodhisattva. But it's basically concentration helps.
Well, the specific sutras that were chosen and the specific meditation techniques that were explained were slightly different by tradition. In fact, as now the discussion shows that there are elements of chanting in every tradition. There are elements of mindfulness in all the traditions, and there are also elements of the accumulation of merit and also conceptualizing of the person through relating to one's dear ones, remembering their kindness, wishing to pay their kindness, those kinds of things that Kimball Alzani explained. These different techniques are used in various different traditions in slightly different ways, but actually the underlying similarity is very strong. It's very interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if the Venerables could kindly give some words of advice and explanation. One question that frequently arises when people contemplate compassion in Buddhism is, how is compassion different from attachment? Because attachment is bad and compassion is good, and both of them relate to one's relationship towards other beings. Could you kindly give some words of advice, each of you, on the difference and similarities? In English, these words are kind of similar, so it's hard for us to really understand because they overlap a lot in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, in Asian words and long-standing translations, they're very different words, but in English, the meanings are so kind of fuzzy in the middle that it's hard for us to clearly separate them. So if you could kindly give them advice about this.
Yes, I want to say that because of that, I also mentioned earlier in the beginning of my talk that one of the Bodhisattva's life, that the difference, attachment and compassion, is that the Vajradeva, Bodhisattva Vajradeva, who wished to give his entire everything for the other beings, and also including this most dear life to the Brahmin who stay in the forest ones, who are the asking. And that is not attachment, it's a compassion because of that person who asked it. So as they ask it, then I want to give. And then after that, he also asked it that to give that his own body. So that willing to give his own body for those who wish sincerely beg, fulfill their wish. So that is that actually compassionate. And the attachment is that for the purpose of oneself. When we say that basically, you may say that I like or I love means basically the main root is that I have interested for my own purpose. So that is the basically attachment. But the Bodhisattvas who totally dedicate, for the benefit of other sentient beings, willing to give, and generally that of course that attachment, the compassion is also the part of attachment. But then they attach it to each and every sentient being equally, for the Buddha and Bodhisattvas, which does not have that something differentiation between the friend and enemy. Everyone love equally, and they wish to fulfill their desire every possible way. So that although it is that attachment, but it is totally willing to fulfill the wishes for others sentient beings. That is the from point of view of from the Tibetan point of view. That is the compassion, and the attachment is the basic for having one's own purpose. Because of that, in the Satyabha traditions, we have one mind training which we call Dadong Jansen. If you have attachment to one's own purpose, then that is not Bodhisattva's thought. So it's so that is making some differentiation between the attachment and compassion.
Yes, same thing. Attachment, a benefit only for yourself. It's the selfishness. But compassion is the benefit for the others. I want to help the people or the sentient being to get rid of the suffering. Is the difference.
Yeah, I agree with you too. And that's why we should develop our compassion. It's not result of our ordinary mind or ordinary desire. So, and it also based on the wisdom that all phenomena or all are empty. So that is different. So without wisdom, it is the desire or attachment, but with wisdom, it's different. And as they said, I think the most distinguished point is the equalness. The equalness to treat equal with friends and enemy. There is no difference, and there is no difference of loving.
Often I find that I develop more compassion towards someone toward a loved one who at first I would really only have intimate feelings for because of more selfish feelings because they make me happy. But after time, they would start to be so close that I would do something for them that would not benefit me in any way, just because I would like to benefit them. Is it possible for real, untainted compassion to develop out of any sort of desire or any other greedy attachments?
Yes, that's the way to develop. Try to develop more and more. At least you overcome your selfishness. That's the point. So when you overcome selfishness, that means you will detach from that thing. So in loving kindness meditation, also my teacher taught me that you try to cultivate loving kindness to develop detach, because we attach to our life, right? We fear death. Like I said in the forest, why I fear of the tiger? Because I protect my life. So if you detach your life, even if tiger will come to eat you, come, because you already devote your life. So when your mind reaches this stage, that means detachment. So you can see the enemy as a friend or like your relatives, and then you can devote even your life to save them, to help them. This is the state of the compassion.
I
That
think-
is a wonderful way of, that the Venerable explained. In our traditions, we also that to say same thing. But also that in the sutra will state numerous times when you're trying to train that the paramitas, giving, morality, patience, and so forth. You cannot do that right away for the highest level of the practice. So therefore, it is important to train from that gradual. Whatever you can give, for example, if you could give 1 cup of water, which does not have that much attachment, and then also you will not feel that something like reward or the expectation by giving cup of water. So practice that one to giving. It is said that clearly. And similarly, that when you develop that compassion, first, as you mentioned, that for one's own reason, then later on that you could develop something kindness and compassion toward them. That is excellent. So then that way you can develop to furthermore. Once you acquainted that meditation, you could also develop most serious that the enemy, that compassion upon them. For example, that is not by me. I'm not saying that I'm a highly accomplished master within meditation compassion, but we have numerous that great master. Recently, one of the masters, he passed away a couple months ago, and he was thrown in the jail in the Tibet for 21 years. And during the Cultural Revolution time, and during that time, he was experienced tremendous difficulty, but he never missed his practice. And then also that he always did in his mind, he composed one text that particularly dedicated for those the prisoner gods, and so that meditation and compassion. Then after that, when he came to India, after 21 years that thrown in the prison, he came out and then he came to India. So then when he got in India, his son Dalai Lama asked him some interview, and he's a very good master. And then he explained about what his experience. And then during that time, his son Dalai Lama asked him, what was the most difficult for you during that 21 years? He said, the most difficult was the great fear was that I may lose my compassion. That was the greatest fear for me. He said. So in this way that he was meditating on a daily basis. These people who does not have the power, their hierarchies, they ask them to guide us, and then they also that that accumulating some unwholesome actions. So as a result, they may have to experience that consequence. So with that thought, he was doing the meditation constantly for them. So he was saying like that. So in this way, that meditation, able to meditate for most serious enemy is the most closest person. So that can be developed, that meditation gradually. But at the beginning, I think it is important to those who closest one on a daily basis that you need to deal with them is that important to meditate. Kindness, compassion, mindful, everything has to deal with them. I think that.
Is that, do I get from most of you, all of you, that compassion is sort of like a prerequisite for higher attainment? And if it is, what would you say about those courses, the short retreats that are very popular, now in the West, but also in Asia, that people are going and, Venerable Kanati, you talked about develop concentration, then loving kindness, and then vipassana. Then people are going straight to vipassana, straight to chant, intensive chant retreats. Are they wasting their time?
No, not waste their time. Yeah. So everybody have to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, doing practice meditation or accumulate loving kindness and any kind of bun or paramita or perfection have to take time. Like you grow coconut tree or mango tree, you have to take care of, put water, take care. At least 10 years, and then you get fruit. So meditation also, and practice also, step by step, and have to practice continuity. The result is not fruitful and immediately like you think, but have to take time. Everything has step by step, and then you will know by yourself the fruit of the result of the practice. So I think not waste the time, but just different way, many ways, but the same purpose.
Training and business is same. As a result of practice, or the basis of practice, we have compassion.
Maybe for many other people living in the Western world with a lot of indulgences and the ability to live very comfortably, it seems difficult to find the enough incentive or desire to really go into the practice fully when there are so many leisure activities and things to distract you in the real and in like this, but what goes on around us all the time. Is there any particular way that that you might suggest would be a good incentive to become less attached to these leisure activities and these pleasures of the world that are so easily available to Western individuals and people with? Is there anything you can suggest to detach from that?
Thank you. Good question and good idea to ask this question, because everybody think that in our society, especially in the Western world, how can we practice and how can develop the spiritual progress? In our tradition, okay, when we live our life in society, it's like in the ancient time they use elephant to fight to each other. Like an elephant go to the battlefield, have to have many things come to that elephant, like enemies or practitioner or the one who will develop the spiritual also. You have to test yourself every day, from the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. But the Buddha said, if you can focus your mind on one pointness each time, each moment, and then you get the result at that moment, good or bad, suffering or happiness, it's there. So don't worry about the high technology, or computer or high things around you, but only mind. You can take care of only mind. that thing disturb you, that's mean like the tool that's to prove you, to test you that you focus on your mind or not. So by this many disturbance around you, so if you focus on the mind, practice in the moment to the moment, and then enjoy your life then. Don't worry in the past and don't worry in the future. Okay? Past is gone already, Buddha said. Don't worry, it's waste of time. And don't worry in the future, it's not come yet. Why worry? Why the economic crisis, there's a war crisis, the war is crisis, whatever. Maybe happens, maybe not. But even it happens, but if you can control your mind, you live with your life peacefully, happily, so this is the real life, not life in the dream. The people suffer because they dream. They dream to the problem in the future, and they cling to the thing that passed already, that gone already. So live your life as the present time. Practice day by day, night by night. Observe the right thing in the right path. This is the meaningful of living. Thank you.
That is very good, and it's also that we say it's very similar. And then also another thing is that the Buddha himself gave the numerous the example. Example is that whatever we have these phenomena, what we encounter, such as the sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch, all of these, which we believe there is that something solid phenomena. But reality, all of these things is continuously passing, continuously arising. So there is nothing stay always. Because of that, the nature of this phenomena is the impermanent. Since it is impermanent, then we must not have strong attachment to that Buddha said. So we should remember about impermanent condition. And then also the impermanent, like with that, also the illusory perception, which is that explained, that the Venerable explained as a dream, is another one. And also that the rainbow, colorful rainbow. The person with the child who does not have any things that what is the rainbow may have strong attachment. I wanted to catch that. You know? So try to chase that rainbow. But there is no way that can be catch that rainbow color. Similarly, we do have that, in this life, with strong attachment. Because we have strong, solid belief. There is the material substance exists as it is, that solid material. Oneself has that as the real I, myself, exist. With this thought, then we have attachment. So it is important to think that both sides, subject and object aspect, has that belief that something like dream stage, illusory stage, like that. With that, it will loosening that grasping upon the object. That Buddha said clearly in many of the sutra. Imagine all phenomena as the cloud. Imagine all phenomena as a magical display. Imagine all phenomena as a dream. Imagine all phenomena as that something, the show on that, the something. So in this way, that what we have, that's like that, the image on the screen of a television, which clearly is something that, illusory perception. So, but it also has the sight, sound, and the everything. So with this, we don't have strong attachment on that as a material. I think that's important to apply to something. Emptiness in impermanent condition. And that would help to loosening of our strong grasping. That Buddha said in sutra. So that is the something, not necessarily to culturally, but it is dealing with reality as it is.
Thank you.
And if you think practice is something special, that's disturb you to practice. So every moment you can make different. Every moment you can change the moment.